Hello everyone, I am Malik. I am visiting faculty member at Department of English, International Islamic University, Islamabad. Today the session is about the parts of speech. In this session we will explore that the parts of speech are the building blocks of a language. If you want to learn any language, you need to learn the parts of speech. In this presentation, we will explore the 8 parts of speech. By exploring these parts of speech, the students will enhance their grasp of English language particularly, and they will also know how to use these parts of speech in their sentence structures, in their writing and everyday communication. Before dive into the content, let's move to the objectives of this presentation. This presentation has 3 main objectives. By the end of this presentation, students will be able to, before we dive into the content, let's move on to the objective of this presentation. The first objective of this presentation is that by the end of the session, students will be able to identify and recognize the parts of speech. The second objective is that students will understand functions and roles of parts of speech in their communication, in their sentence structures. The third objective of this presentation is that they will be able to improve their sentence structures and use parts of speech correctly in their daily conversation and also in their academic settings. There are 8 different kinds of words in English. These words are called word classes or parts of speech: noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. Let's start with an activity. In this activity, the students will identify the parts of speech from this paragraph. I read out this paragraph for your convenience. Ahmed didn't go to the university canteen with the other students. Ali told him they were going there, but he wanted to finish his work. Ahmed isn't very sociable. He stays in his room and concentrates totally on his studies. He is an excellent student, but he does not have much fun. This activity is divided into 2 parts. In the first part, the students will identify noun, pronoun, adjectives and adverbs from the following paragraph. In the second part, student will also identify verb, preposition and linking words from the same paragraph. In this paragraph, you see that the nouns are shaded in red color, the pronouns are in blue color, adjectives are in purple, and adverbs are in light green color. First, we look at this paragraph. Ahmed didn't go to the university canteen with the other students. In this first sentence, Ahmed, canteen and students are nouns. In the second sentence, Ali told him that they were going there, but he wanted to finish his work. Ali is a noun. In the third sentence, Ahmed is not very sociable. Again, Ahmed is a noun. He stays in his room and concentrates totally on his studies. He is an excellent student. Student is also a noun in this activity, but he does not have much fun. Fun is also a noun in this activity. In the same way, you will see that pronouns are also used in this paragraph, like they, he, his, etc. Now, let's move on to adjectives and adverb. In this paragraph, sociable is adjective, an adjective, excellent is an adjective, and totally is an adverb. Now, let's move on to the next part of this activity. Let's move on to the next part of this activity. In this activity, we will find out verb, prepositions and linking words from the same paragraph. Ahmed didn't go to the university canteen with the other students. In this sentence, did not go, go is the main verb. In the second sentence, Ali told him they were going there. Told, were going are also verbs. And in the same way, you can find out other verbs like wanted, finish, isn't, concentrates, does not. These all are verbs and helping verbs. Now let's move on to the next part of this activity to find a verb, preposition and linking words from the following paragraph. In this paragraph, there are so many verbs such as didn't, go, told, were going, isn't, concentrate, does not have. So these all are the verbs and helping verbs. Now move on to the prepositions. Prepositions are the words which tell the directions in which something is going, coming, etc. In this paragraph, to, on, in are prepositions. Next, move on to the last part of this activity, which is to find out linking words. Linking words are the connectors which connect the first part of the sentence with the remaining part of the sentence. In the first sentence, we see Ahmed didn't go to the university canteen with the other students. In this sentence, with is a connector which connects the first part of the sentence with the remaining part of the sentence. So, connectors in simple language we can say connects the words, phrases, clauses and sentences. Let's start with the first part of speech, noun. Noun are words that name people, place, thing or ideas. For example, teachers refers to a person, city refers to a place, happiness refers to an idea, a book refers to a thing. For example, teacher refers to a person, city refers to a place, happiness refers to an idea and a book to a thing. In this session, our primary objective will be to understand nouns. By the end of this session, the students will be able to recognize nouns in your writing. This means identifying words that name people, place, things or ideas in the sentences. Third objective is to define nouns in your writing to clearly convey meaning. Nouns make up the largest class of words in most languages, including English. They can be considered as the building blocks of a language. Same is the case with English language. Anything which we can touch, see, smell, or we can hear, or we can hold can be referred to as nouns. Simply, noun represent people, person, place, things or ideas. The examples for nouns are like for people, Ahmed, Ali, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. For places, we may have examples like Pakistan, Islamabad, Karachi, the US, the UK, etc. For animals and reptiles, we may have examples such as lion, sparrow, cat, etc. For ideas, we have certain examples such as evolution, war, peace, happiness, etc. There are 5 major types of nouns. Number 1 is proper noun, number 2 is common noun, number 3 is abstract noun, number 4 is collective noun, number 5 is countable or uncountable nouns. Now start with the first, proper noun. Proper nouns are the things which we denote specifically in a sentence, such as Qaid-e-Azam, Pakistan, Ahmed, etc. Common nouns are those nouns that refer to generic items, places or groups. They are not capitalized except when they come in the beginning of a sentence. The example of common nouns are table, chair, blackboard, students, etc. The third type of nouns is abstract nouns, which cannot be perceived by the human senses. Examples are happiness, war, peace, etc. For example, love is a strong emotion. In this sentence, love is an abstract noun. Another example is honesty is the best policy. In this sentence, honesty is also an abstract noun. A collective noun is a naming word that is used to denote a group of animals or people. For example, a pride of lions. In this sentence, pride is a collective noun. We go for another example, a company of actors. In this sentence, company is a collective noun. Another type of noun is countable noun. Countable nouns are those nouns which can be counted, such as aeroplane, book, chair, pen, pencil, etc. Next category is another uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns are which cannot be counted. This category includes both concrete and abstract nouns like weather, milk, happiness, war, peace. These all are uncountable nouns. They can also be called mass nouns as well. Let's move on to the interesting part of this session, noun cases or functions of noun. There are 5 cases of nouns. The first one is nominative or subjective case. The second one is accusative or objective case. The third one is dative case. The fourth one is possessive case. And the last one is vocative or nominative address. Let's start with the first case, which is nominative or subjective case. In this, a noun acts the subject of a verb in a sentence. It is said to be in the nominative or subjective case. To find a nominative case, we make a question with what or who before the verb, and we can find out nominative case in a sentence like is reading. Who is reading? Ahmed is reading, Meena is reading. So, Ahmed and Meena, they are the nominative or subjective cases of these sentences. The second case is accusative or objective case. In this, a noun acts as the object of a verb in a sentence. Therefore, it is said to be accusative or objective case. It experiences the verb done by the subject. It experiences the verb done by the subject. To find a noun in accusative case, we make a question with what or whom, like she called Meena. So, Meena is accusative or objective case in this sentence. The third case of noun is dative case. In this case, a noun acts as an indirect object of a verb in a sentence. Therefore, it is said to be the dative case. We can find out indirect object by applying the words whom or for whom the verb is done. For example, I brought my friend a book. In this sentence, my friend is a dative case because it is indirectly related to the verb. The direct link of brought is with the book, which is a direct object, a book, and indirect object, which is my friend. This is the dative case of noun in this sentence. The fourth category of noun cases is possessive case. Possessive case shows the possession, ownership, or authority of a noun. For example, Edward's book or book of Edward. In this phrase, Edward's book, that is, the Edward is in possession of a book. Usually in possessive case, we put apostrophe s with the noun and we make the possessive case. The last case of noun is vocative case or nominative of address. In this case, a noun is addressed or called out in a sentence. This is called vocative case or nominative case. For example, I don't know Ahmed. So, Ahmed is vocative or nominative of address in this sentence. That brings us to the conclusion of this presentation. In this presentation, we learn nouns, its definition, its various types, its functions and cases. By learning from this session, you would be able to use noun, its various function, its cases in your communication effectively and efficiently. Let's start with the second part of speech, that is pronouns. Students will be able to avoid repetition of nouns. The second objective is they would understand types of pronouns and their correct usage. A pronoun is used in place of a noun. It substitutes a noun in a paragraph or piece of writing to avoid the repetition of noun. For example, Ahmed teaches in a university. He teaches English language classes. The first noun is Ahmed and the second sentence pronoun he denotes Ahmed. So, instead of using Ahmed again and again in every single sentence, we substitute Ahmed with he in the second sentence, and in the same way we carry forward with this. Pronouns can be used in singular and plural form. The verb used in the sentence always should be in accordance with the particular form of the pronoun used. For example, he teaches English language classes. They teach English language classes. In these both sentences, he requires teaches because it is a singular pronoun. And when we move on to the next sentence, they teach English language classes. Here the pronoun is plural, they is used. That is why we use teach, the verb accordingly. There are various kinds of pronouns. Usually pronouns are classified into three main kinds: first person, second person, third person. In first person, we may say for singular we use I and me, for plural we use we, us. For second person we use you, your, and in plural we use you. For the third person pronoun we use he, she, it, him, her, and for plural we use in third person they, them, their, etc. Let's start with types of pronouns. There are 10 main types of pronouns, which are relative pronouns, reflexive pronouns, object pronouns, personal pronouns or subject pronouns, reciprocal pronouns, possessive pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, indefinite pronouns, and the last one is intensive pronouns. Let's start with relative pronoun. Relative pronouns are pronouns that are used to relate one part of the sentence to another. For example, relative pronouns are that, which, where, when, etc. In example, you can see Sheila, who is a teacher, also works as a social worker. In this sentence, who is working as relative pronoun in the sentence. It connects the one part of the sentence with the another. The second type of pronoun is reflexive pronoun. These pronouns are used to refer back to the subject in the sentence. For example, myself, yourself, herself. Look at this example. They looked at them. They looked at themselves. Here is a little bit ambiguity in these two sentences. The first sentence, they looked at them, it denotes maybe they are looking them or they are looking to some others. But when we use the reflexive pronoun themselves, they looked at themselves in this. By using this reflexive pronoun themselves, it means they are looking to themselves, not looking to others. So, reflexive pronouns are also used for clarity of usage of pronouns. Object pronouns are pronouns that receive the action in a sentence. Me, us, him are object pronouns. For example, I bought new trousers for you. Here, you is object pronoun. The next type of pronouns are personal pronouns or subject pronouns. These pronouns are used to substitute proper names like he, she, you, they, etc. For example, I am going to the store. You are my best friend. He is studying for the exam. I, you, he are used as personal pronouns or subject pronouns because we are not using the nouns again and again. Another type of pronouns are reciprocal pronouns. These pronouns are used to express a mutual relationship within the sentence. For example, the coaches spoke to each other about strategy. So, each other is a reciprocal pronoun in this sentence. Possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are used to show possession in a sentence. Mine, your, his, hers. These are the kinds of possessive pronouns. For example, she thought that no boss could be worse than hers. In this sentence, hers is a possessive pronoun. The next one are demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns are used to point specific object in a sentence. This, that, these, those are used to demonstrate the things in a sentence. For example, this is my friend Jamie. So, this is a demonstrative pronoun. The next types of pronouns are interrogative pronouns. These pronouns are used to ask questions in a sentence. And for asking a question, usually we use WH like who, what, when, why, where, etc. For example, who wants a bag of jelly jeans? In this sentence, who is used as interrogative pronoun. The next type of pronouns are indefinite pronouns. These pronouns do not refer to any particular person, place or thing in a sentence. Someone, somewhere, these are used as indefinite pronouns in the sentence. For example, everyone was shocked by the sudden announcement. In this sentence, everyone is indefinite pronoun. It is not denoting to any specific person. The last type of pronouns are intensive pronouns. Intensive pronouns are same like the reflexive pronouns. There is a slight difference in intensive pronoun and reflexive pronouns. In intensive pronouns, if you use intensive pronoun in a sentence and if you remove that intensive pronoun from a sentence, it still makes a sense. For example, myself have never been to Australia. This is a wrong sentence. This is intensive pronoun myself. But when I say I myself have never been to Australia, this is a correct sentence. Myself is intensive pronoun. Even if we remove myself intensive pronoun from the sentence still makes a sense. I have never been to Australia. Let's start with third part of speech, that is adjective. Objective of this module is that students will be able to identify adjectives and learn its types to define nouns. Before moving on to study adjectives in detail, let's start with an activity in which you will find out adjectives, how these adjectives are used in this paragraph. You will underline all the adjectives in this description of a hotel. The paragraph is, this comfortable hotel with its pleasant gardens is ideal for people who want a quiet holiday. Yet, it is only a short distance from the highly popular attraction of the area. There are lovely views from every room. The atmosphere is very friendly and the staff are always helpful. A holiday here is very good value for money. You can eat your meal at the hotel where the food tastes marvelous, or you can of course try some of the excellent local restaurants. For the understanding of the students, I give you one clue in the first sentence. This comfortable hotel with its pleasant garden is ideal for people who want a quiet holiday. In this first sentence, hotel is a noun and it is defined by an adjective which is comfortable. What type of hotel it is? It is a comfortable hotel. So, comfortable is an adjective in this sentence, adjective of quality. It describes the quality of the hotel, that hotel is comfortable. So, you will also underline all the adjectives in this description of a hotel. An adjective is a part of speech that can be used to describe or provide more information about a noun or a pronoun that acts as the subject in a sentence. For example, he is a boy. Boy is a noun. He is an intelligent boy. Intelligent is the quality of that particular boy. So, intelligent is an adjective and this is adjective of quality. Usually adjectives of quality, they come before the nouns. In simple words, we can say a word that describes nouns or pronouns. We can say this is an adjective. There are two places where we can use adjective. One is before the noun, another is after the linking verb. You will look into these two examples, like Ahmed has got a new car. In this sentence, car is a noun and new is adjective, adjective of quality. This is that we use adjective of quality before the noun. Another example is Ahmed's car is new. Here, new is used after the linking verb is. So, adjective is used at two places. One is before the noun and second is after the linking verb. Let's move on to the types of adjectives. Adjectives can be divided into different categories based on their functions when they are used in a sentence. The different types of adjectives are, number one is possessive adjective, my, his, her. Second is interrogative adjective, who, what, which. Demonstrative adjective, this, that, etc. Compound adjective, absent-minded, curly hair. Quantitative adjective, some, little, few. Of quality, intelligent, sharp, boring. These are the examples of different types of adjectives. Let's start with the first type of adjective, that is possessive adjectives. These adjectives like possessive pronouns are used to show or represent possession of a quality. For example, my, your, his, my car, your car, his pen, etc. These are the examples of possessive adjectives. The second type of adjective is interrogative adjective. An interrogative adjective is used to modify a noun or pronoun by asking a question. There are only a few adjectives that can be termed as interrogative adjectives. Whose, what, which are the examples of interrogative adjectives. The next type of adjective is demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjectives are mainly used to describe the position of a subject. It can be a noun or it can be a pronoun in space or time. For example, this, that, these, those, these are the examples of demonstrative adjectives. Next type of adjectives are compound adjectives. Compound adjectives consist of two or more adjectives that are combined together to form an adjective that can be used to modify the subject in a sentence. For example, cotton tailored, happy go lucky, these are the examples of compound adjectives. Next ones are quantitative adjectives. Quantitative adjectives are those adjectives which tell the quantity in a sentence. For example, some, any, little, these are the quantitative adjectives. The last type of adjectives is quality adjective. Quality adjectives are those adjectives that describe the quality of a noun. They give us information on the state, condition or the character of the noun. For example, intelligent, dry, fat, clever, etc. The next part of the session is order of adjectives of quality. If we want to use more than one adjective in a sentence, how we can put these adjectives together in a one single sentence? The order of adjective of quality is like this. First, the determinant will always come first. It would be followed by adjectives of opinion like wonderful, nice, great, adjective of size, most other qualities such as quite, famous, important, adjective of age, color, origin, material, type, purpose. So, usually we follow this order when we are writing down different adjectives in a sentence. For example, a beautiful wooden picture frame. In this phrase, a beautiful is an opinion, it comes first according to the order. Wooden is a material, it comes at second place, and purpose is picture, so it comes at third place, and frame is a noun. So, all these adjectives follow a sequence. Let us start with an activity. Through this activity, you can better understand how we can make the order of adjectives in a sentence. There are three forms of adjectives in English grammar. The first one is positive or absolute form. The second one is comparative form. The third one is the superlative form. The positive or the absolute form is, for example, dark. The comparative form we use darker. For the superlative form we use darkest. How we can make comparative and superlative adjectives from the positive form? Usually one syllable adjectives form their comparative and superlative by adding er or est to the positive form. Like, for example, bright, we add er to the basic form, that is bright, brighter, and brightest, est. So, one syllable adjective, they form their comparative and superlative by only adding er and est to the base form. Adjective of three or more syllable form their comparative and superlative form by putting more and most before the positive form. Like interested, comparative form would be more interested, superlative form would be most interested. Adjectives of two syllable follow one or other of the above rules. For example, doubtful, more doubtful, most doubtful. Those ending in er, y or ly usually add er or est in comparative form and superlative form. Note there are certain irregular comparisons which do not follow the above mentioned rule, like bad, worse, worst. Let's start with the fourth part of speech, verb. Main objective of this session are that students will be able to understand and define verbs and their types. Another objective is that students will also learn how to use subject-verb agreement. Before moving on to study verbs, let's start with a scenario. Have you ever wondered what life would be if you could not do anything or could not speak about anything you did, just because you don't have the words to represent those actions? Well, that would never happen, because that is what verbs are for. First, we start with the definition of verb. According to Oxford Learner's Dictionary, a verb is a word or group of words that express an action, for example, eat, an event such as something is happening, or a state such as something is existing. So, it would be impossible to indicate what the subject is doing without verb in a sentence. Verb plays a pivotal role in the construction of a sentence. It refers to all actions, including those related to feelings and emotions. It would be impossible to indicate what the subject is doing without verb in a sentence. A verb plays a pivotal role in a sentence. It refers to all actions, including those related to emotions and feelings. Verbs are classified into three main categories. The first one is verbs referring to an action. Example is walk, run, talk. So, these verbs, they involve the movement of one body in one way or to the other. There are three classifications of verbs. The first one is verbs referring to actions, verbs referring to actions, verbs referring to experience or feelings, verbs referring to a state or condition. Verbs referring to an action are those that involve the movement of one body in one way or the other. For example, walk, run, eat, sit, read, etc. The second classification of verb refers to experience or feelings. These are the verbs that refer to something that you can feel or experience and do not necessarily involve a movement of any kind. For example, love, hate, believe, etc. The third classification of verbs refers to a state or condition. These verbs are those that refer to a situation or the state of being. All forms of to be or helping verbs belong to this category. For example, is, am, are, was, were, etc. These all are state or conditions. Let's move on to the next part of this session, that is about the types of verbs. There are four major types of verbs: auxiliary verbs, or we can say helping verbs, modal verbs, phrasal verbs, and linking verbs. Let's start with the first type of verbs, auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs. It is quite clear from the name, helping verbs. These verbs help the main verbs. They work as auxiliary verbs in a sentence. They help another verbs. It is used to change the other verb's tense, mood or voice. So, every time an auxiliary verb is used, you always have one more verb which acts as the main verb in the sentence. For example, am, is, are, all are helping verbs and they are helping to the main verb. The second category of verbs are modal verbs. Modal verbs are used for the possibility, probability, capability or necessity of something happening. Modal verbs, unlike auxiliary verbs, cannot be used as main verb in a sentence. The examples of modal verbs are can, could, will, would, shall, should, etc. The third type of verbs are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs include phrases that are formed by combining two or more parts of speech that perform the same function as a verb in a sentence. In most of the cases, a phrasal verb results from a combination of a verb and a preposition. For example, go, buy. Go is a verb and buy is a preposition. With the combination of these two words, we make a phrasal verb, go by. The last type of verb is a linking verb. As the name suggests, a linking verb is a type of verb that links one part of the sentence with another part of the sentence. It connects the subject to the object, an adjective, and even a prepositional phrase. All to be forms of verb, and verbs like seem and become can act as linking verbs. For example, Danny is my mother. Is a linking verb. It is connecting Danny with my mother. The book on a treasure hunt seems interesting. So, seems is connecting interesting adjective with the first part of the sentence. Verbs can be divided into different categories according to their behavior when used in a context. The first category of verb is a regular verb. A regular verb can be conjugated to show if the action takes place in the past or if the action is taking place continuously. In most cases, the past form is formed by adding ed to the bare form, like for example, book, we add ed to book, booked, booked. So, bare form is booked and the past form is booked and the past participle form is booked, the third form. Another category of verb is irregular verb. They do not follow the simple rule. These verbs have their own unique forms. For example, sit, sat, sat. So, the bare form sit is different from the second form sat and the third form sat. They have their own unique rules, how they are being formed. The first rule is verbs which have the same base forms, past simple and past participles. They fall in the category of irregular verbs like put, and put. Here the base form, the past simple and past participle all have the same form of verb. Another rule for irregular verb is verbs which have the same past simple and past participle. For example, bring, brought, brought. Here the root verb bring is different from the past and past participle. The third rule of irregular verb is verbs which have the same base form and past participle, like the first bare form and the past participle are same, come, came, come. Verbs which have a different base form, past simple and past participle. It means that all the three forms of verb are different from one another. For example, go, went, gone. The next category of verbs are transitive verbs. Transitive verbs are those verbs which require the direct object in a sentence. For example, Ahmed gave a box of chocolates to his brother. Indirect object is his brother and a box of chocolate is a direct object. So, gave require a direct object. This gave is called transitive verb. It functions as a transitive verb in the sentence. Intransitive verbs are those verbs which do not take either a direct object or an indirect object. For example, Ahmed walked to school every day. In this sentence, walk is intransitive verb. It does not require a direct object or an indirect object. Now move on to the next part of this session, which is about the verb form, how the different forms of verbs are formed. A verb is used in different ways to indicate the time in which the subject is performing an action. There are various verb forms that are used to do the same. First one is root verbs like eat, sit, read, sleep, etc. Simple present form of verb, or we can say the third person singular, they require s or es with the singular, like eats, sits, read, goes, etc. The third one is present participle or the gerund form. Gerund forms are usually formed by adding ing to the root form of verb, like eat plus ing, eating, sit, ing, sitting, read plus ing, reading. These are the gerund forms. The fourth form of verb is past simple. Simple past, it is the only form of verb which is used in the simple past tense, like ate, sat, read. These are the simple forms of verbs and they are used in the simple past tense or past indefinite tense. The fifth one is past participles. These are the third form of verbs, usually we say, that are like eat, ate, eaten. Eaten is the third form of verb. Sit, sat, sat is the third form of verb. Read, read, read. Read is again the third form of verb. The last part of verb is infinitives. In infinitives like gerunds, they can be used to turn verbs into nouns by adding a preposition to in front of the root verb. A verb is there and we add a preposition to that and we make an infinitive. For example, would you like to have something? So, to is added with the have and to have becomes an infinitive in the sentence. I like to dance in my free time. Dance is a verb and we add to with it. Now it becomes an infinitive. Now let's start with another part of speech, that is adverb. The main objectives of this session are that students will be able to identify adverbs, its types and usage. They would also be able to modify verbs, adjectives and other adverbs. First, let's start with the definition of adverb. According to Oxford's Learner's Dictionary, a word that adds more information about place, time, manner, cause or degree to a verb, an adjective, a phrase or another adverb. Let's start with the formation of adverbs. Usually adverbs can be formed by adding ly to the root form of an adjective, like nice, nicely, happy, happily, quiet, quietly, whole, wholly. So, we add ly to an adjective and we form an adverb. There are some special spelling rules by which we can make an adverb from an adjective. First one is, we do not leave out e. For example, nice, we just add ly to an adjective and we make an adverb nicely. There are some exceptions to this, like true, truly, we delete e. Whole, wholly, we delete e and add ly. The second rule is we delete y and add ily after a consonant. For example, easy, easily, lucky, luckily. The third one is we delete ly from an adjective, and the third rule is we delete le from an adjective and add ly. For example, possible, possibly, comfortable, comfortably, probable, probably. The fourth way to form an adverb from an adjective is that you add ICALLY, like dramatic, dramatically. Also, other examples such as automatically, scientific, scientifically. There are exceptions like public, and we only add ly, publicly. There is a difference between the use of adjective and adverb in a sentence. The following example will state the difference between the usage of adjectives and adverbs. For example, we did some hard work. Over here, hard is an adjective. It is signifying work. We worked hard. In this sentence, hard is signifying or further giving meaning to the verb worked. So, most of the time the quality adjective they come before the noun, and adverbs they can come before the verb, after the verb, or in the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. Uses of adverbs in a sentence. Unlike other parts of speech, an adverb can be used at various places in a sentence. It can come in the beginning of a sentence, in the middle of a sentence, or at the end of the sentence. It can come in the beginning of a phrase, in the end of the phrase. It can come in the beginning of a clause, in the end position of a clause. And most of the time, meaning of adverb won't get changed. But sometimes the adverbs, when we change the place of adverb in a sentence, the meaning of sentence will get changed. For example, if I say they secretly decided to leave the town, they decided to leave the town secretly. In the first sentence, they secretly decided, it means the decision is secret. In the second sentence, they decided to leave the town secretly. Or in this second sentence, the leaving action or the process is secret. So, this is the difference. Sometimes the adverbs, when we place them in different parts, the meaning of the sentence gets changed. Another characteristics of adverb is that we can use multiple adverbs in a single sentence. We will have a look into the following example, and then we can better understand the use of adverbs, various adverbs in a sentence. These are the various examples in which adverbs are used in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of a sentence. The first one is, we can see that normally, comma, we go to mosque on Friday. Normally is an adverb. It is in the start of a sentence. The next one is, you see example, don't you think the coffee is too sweet? In this example, to, an adverb is used at the end of a sentence. We can use two or more than two adverbs in a single sentence. Example is there. The song I was listening to yesterday was very soothing. So, yesterday and very both are adverbs, and they are used in a one single sentence. Let's move on to the types of adverbs. Adverbs can be classified into 6 main types. Number 1, adverb of manner, adverb of time, adverb of place, adverb of frequency, adverbs of degree, conjunctive adverbs. There are two more types of adverbs. Actually, they are not the types of adverbs, but they can be considered as like interrogative adverbs and relative adverbs. Let's start with the first type of adverb, which is adverb of manner. Adverb of manner usually come after the verb. For example, she danced beautifully. Beautifully is adverb of manner, which tells how the lady was dancing. Or adverb of manner, it can come after the object if the object is singular. He gave her the money reluctantly. Reluctantly is an adverb of manner which denotes how the money is given. Second type of adverbs are adverb of time. These are usually placed at the very beginning or at the very end of the clause. For example, in the front position or in the end position. Eventually he came eventually. So, we can use eventually at both places, in the front position of the clause or in the end position of the clause. Another example is I will wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow is adverb of time and it can come at the end, and we can also say tomorrow I will wait for you. So, tomorrow can come in the beginning or at the end position of a sentence. The third type of adverbs are adverb of place. These are usually placed after the verb. For example, she went away. He lives abroad. So, away and abroad are adverbs of place and usually they come after the main verb. The fourth type of adverbs are adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency is an adverb which depicts the number of times an action happens within a particular period of time. For example, Ahmed often likes to have food from hotels. Ahmed always buys groceries from the market. Often, always, they are talking about the number of time a person is performing an action. So, that is why they are called adverbs of frequency, the frequency of happening. The fifth one type of adverbs are adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree modifies an adjective or another adverb. It is placed before the adjective or adverb. For example, you are absolutely right. In this sentence, absolutely is adverb of degree. Another example is he almost fell. Almost is adverb of degree in this sentence. The sixth type of adverbs are conjunctive adverbs. Conjunctive adverbs are adverbs that behave like conjunctions when they are used in a sentence. For example, Aaron went to many stores in that area. However, he did not find what he was looking for. However is conjuncting adverb. It is connecting the previous sentence to the next sentence. The next type are interrogative adverbs. Usually the interrogative adverbs are not considered the type of adverb. They are examples of interrogative adverbs to ask questions that demand a reason, to ask questions related to time, to ask questions related to place, and in asking questions related to time, manner, frequency and quantity. For example, why was he late? He missed the bus. So, why, when, these are the interrogative adverbs. The last type of adverbs are relative adverbs. Relative adverbs link the sentences or clauses together and provide additional information about the subject of a sentence. For example, I remember a time when adults were respected. In this example, the relative adverb when heads the adjective clause when adults were respected. The adjective clause defines a time. Now, we will move on to the forms of adverbs. Adverbs have three forms: positive form, quickly; comparative form, more quickly; superlative form, most quickly. So, these are the three forms of adverbs. Single syllable adverbs, however, and early add er, est, like hard, harder, hardest, early, earlier, earliest. There are some irregular comparisons of adverbs like well, better, best, little, less, least. At the end of this session, we have an activity. Through this activity, you will understand the usage of adverbs in various sentences. The activity is, you will choose the correct word or phrase, obviously adverbs from the sentence. The example is, we could walk freely around the aircraft during the flight. So, we will choose the adverbs out of those two words. We could walk freely because walk is an action is signified with freely. The main objective of this session is that students will be able to understand prepositions, its types and correct usage. Preposition. A preposition is a short word that is employed in a sentence to show the relationship noun, pronouns or phrases have with other parts within the respective sentences. Prepositions are normally found positioned in the later part of the sentence, but before a noun or pronoun. For example, I will be going to mosque in the morning. To and in are prepositions in this sentence. They talk about the directions and the place where a person is going to. Ahmed stood opposite to Ali. It also tells about the position that the person is standing. Let's start with the usage of prepositions. Prepositions are used to show direction of something, time of something happening, position or location of an object in a sentence, and also the spatial relationships. Types of prepositions. Prepositions can be divided into 5 main types. For example, time, place, direction, location, spatial relation. The first one type of preposition is preposition of time. These are used to show when something is happening. For example, we will be meeting on Friday. On is the preposition in this sentence. The supermarket will be closed from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. From and to are also prepositions used in this sentence. Preposition of place. Preposition of place indicate the place or position of something. For example, I have kept the book I borrowed from you on the table. Ahmed hid behind the door. On and behind are prepositions of place in these two sentences. The third one is prepositions of directions. These are used to denote the direction in which something travels or moves. For example, the girl ran towards her father the moment she saw him. Ahmed jumped into the river to help his sister. So, towards and into, they denote the directions in the sentences. The next type of prepositions are prepositions of location. They are employed to denote the location of a particular object. For example, Ahmed would be staying at his cousin's place for the weekend. Make sure you keep all the toys back in its place after you play. At and in this sentence are prepositions of location which tell the person to locate the things. The last type of prepositions are prepositions spatial relationship. These are used to denote an object's movement away from the source and towards the source. For example, Ahmed sat leaning against the wall. The circus was stationed opposite the children's park. So, against and opposite, these prepositions tell about the special relationship. Now, we move to the prepositional phrases. How we can make the prepositional phrases? Prepositional phrases are a combination of preposition and a noun. The object it is effecting. For example, see to it that you reach the venue on time. Time is a noun and on is a preposition. So, by combining these two words, we make a prepositional phrase, on time. The medicine you ask for are out of stock. Stock is a noun and out of are prepositions. So, we add these prepositions with a noun and make the prepositional phrases. At the end of this session, you will do two activities which are based on the prepositions. Let's start with another part of speech, which is conjunctions. Main objectives of this session are that students will be able to recognize and define conjunctions and their types. They will also learn to use conjunctions in its types to connect the ideas correctly. Conjunctions are used to combine two or more objects, phrases or clauses. It can be terms as connectors, as they are employed in sentence to make connections. Simply, a conjunction is words that join words, phrases or sentences. Now, we move on to the types of conjunctions. The first type of conjunctions is coordinating conjunction. These are used to combine two independent clauses. Ahmed stood first and got a prize. In this example, and is connecting the two clauses. Ahmed stood first, got a prize. These two ideas are connected with a connector and. The second type of conjunctions are subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunctions are used to combine an independent clause and a dependent clause. For example, I will go to the store after I finish my homework. So, after is a subordinating conjunction which combines independent and dependent clauses in a sentence. The third type of conjunctions are correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions are used to combine two phrases or parts of the sentence which have equal importance within a sentence. For example, she is not only a good teacher, but also a great mentor. So, not only and but also, they are correlative conjunctions. They have equal importance in the sentence. Let's do an activity. Through this activity, you can better understand how the conjunctions are used in a sentence. Let's move on to the last part of speech, which is interjection. Main objectives of this session are that students will be able to identify and define interjections and also use interjections correctly. Interjection is a short sound, a word or a phrase spoken suddenly to express an emotion. There are no particular rules as to where interjections should be placed in a sentence, but most often they are used in the beginning of a sentence. They are used to form exclamatory sentences such as, "Hurrah, we won the match." "Ouch, that really hurt badly." So, ouch and hurrah are interjection in these sentences. How we can use interjections in sentences? When a short interjection is used in the beginning of a sentence, it should be followed by a comma, like comma, "The magic show at the end was a total surprise." Another usage of interjection is when an interjection forms a sentence by itself, the interjection can be followed by a full stop, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. Look at this example. Alas, that was so unfortunate. In this sentence, alas is interjection. Another usage of interjection is within the sentence. When an interjection is used in the middle of a sentence, the interjection has to be preceded and followed by a comma. Although this is a less common use, but still it is used. For example, we lost, but hey, you can win them all. This soup is just terrible. So, hey, these are the interjections and they are placed within the sentence. There is another usage of interjection, and that is the interjection stands alone. For example, hey, oops. Here the only interjection conveys the meaning. At the end of this session, here we have an activity. Through this activity, you can better understand how to use conjunction in various sentences. Now we move on to the conclusion of this presentation. Through this presentation, I hope you would have learned the parts of speech, how do we can use them in our day-to-day conversation. Thank you so much for your time and participation.